Over this past weekend was week 3 of the World Cup qualifiers, and Tfue live streamed the whole thing, so it gave us a good opportunity to kind of see what the insights of the highest scoring player was, what kind of led him to his top performance in each of the games that he did well in, and give us a kind of deeper dive into his thought process and how he does the small things that puts him in the top level of players. So I wanted to go through and analyze these wins. I'm going to start off with his first win. And what we're going to look at here while he's in the loading screen is his bus route. So I've mapped out his bus route here. It basically goes from Lucky Landing up into the block. So if I zoom out and show you the map, it looks kind of like this. Also on this map, I've done all of the first 5 zones to show what his kind of rotations were, and I'm gonna come back and use this as a reference to just like show you where he routed his loop paths for each of the zones, and then I'm gonna try to make a guess on why he did what he did. I'm not a mind reader, so I can't say exactly what Tfue was doing, but as an analyst of this game, I'll give you my best insights to why he does what he does and why he rotated in the ways that he did and how that changed the outcome of the game. So we're going to hop into it.
Man, he's already fucking qualified though, so.
First thing here, you see he drops
Holy
early.
shit, dude. I fucking feel depressed.
So right as the bus goes, he drops.
Should have
He's,
fucking 20 points.
he's obviously a little tilted after his first 2 games.
Fuck, man.
Yeah, the first 2 games he didn't do so well. He's a little tilted, trying to pick it up. He gets a really low drop onto the hotel here. And you heard a glider behind him, so he hears that he's been challenged by somebody. He goes directly for the chest. So right there, I mean, nothing really too special. He got kind of the 50-50 where he had a way better drop than his opponent. His opponent hit 3 pickaxe swings on him, and some players might feel like they need to pickaxe back, or like they might need to do something under pressure, like maybe get scared away from the chest. But what Tfue does is know that his aim is so good that whatever gun he gets, even though he was at 40 HP after getting pickaxe 3 times by his enemy, that he was pretty certain he was going to be okay. And his good SMG tracking led him to the kill here. He's scouting the area, seeing who else is around. He's not sure who else landed around him. He assumes that because Paradise is such good loot, that there's going to be other enemies. Right here, one of the quick heads up things that he just did was he popped a slurp, and since he got minis immediately, he popped a mini so that he can get almost all the way back up to 100 health, 100 shield. Just farming and looting up here, trying to get ideal loadout because he's not sure if he wants to fight anyone.
For the love of God, just give me a fucking shotgun. So I can just go rush and fucking kill this dude.
Yeah, still looting. So he knows that there's people around. He's confirmed that he's seen somebody. He doesn't feel confident, even though he has shield, to going and fighting a guy because he's at a disadvantage by having a shotgun. So he's looking for one.
Shit.
Here he just settles for the tack because he doesn't have a shotgun. Searching the floor loot and chest loot spawns in the cabana area here. Trying to get as many mats as he can. Picking up some minis. Right here he finds the blue pump. And immediately he starts turning after he finds the blue pump to be an aggressor towards this person. He wants to clear the area so that he feels safe. He sees that his enemies are engaged in a little fight right now. And he's trying to get third party action on. Just utilizing the buildings in the area before he tries to take high ground to third party. He loses sight a little bit of where they were in the builds and gets shot in the back. So he protects himself immediately, tries to analyze what's happening from behind, takes some shots. But he's lost confirmation on where his original enemy is. So he's trying to scout a little bit more. As he scouts, he gets beamed. It looks like he gets headshot and body shot by something. So he immediately tries to heal, but he sees that the guy's pressuring him. Tries to get the guy to stop pressuring him. So he'll chug jug while out of line of sight. Still not sure where the other initial enemy is. He gets pushed over top, so he opts to play really safe and box up. He actually gets pretty lucky here that the person that he was third partying engages with the person who was being the aggressor towards him, so he can get this chug jug off. One of the enemies rifted, and that's kind of an awkward rift, so he looks for shots because he probably assumes that they're weak. So he wants to see if he can get that extra kill point, because it's kind of weird for somebody to disengage with a rift this early in the game unless they're in a bad spot. This right here, so I'm going to go back. This is just, you know, a heads up game play by a top quality player where he's shooting at this guy in the air, and immediately after he looks for the opponent and he sees his head behind the bush, gives him the little 1-2, and that guy's got no chance. Who knows what this guy's doing? Pretty questionable play by this guy hiding behind the bush, but he gets the mats, gets the heavy sniper. His loadout's a little bit stronger. So Tfue sees that he's got less than 100 metal. He wants to farm some more metal. He wants to get his mats up. He thinks that the whole perimeter is pretty secure. He saw the person that he initially was third partying that finished their fight leave. He killed the other person that third partying from his back. So what you'll notice is he's not observing.
Jumping on people's heads because it's not like I'm gonna ever qualify anyway.
He's not observing at the same rate that he was before. He doesn't need to take in as much information because he assumes that the POI is fully cleared.
Absolutely no movement.
So what you're seeing here is just topping off on mats. He assumes that everything's looted on all sides of Paradise here. So he kind of wants to get out, find more loot because, like you said, he has no movement. He wants to find some movement or get near some natural movement. There's no rifts where he's currently at, so he wants to get at a better position so that he doesn't have to use as many mats later on in the game when he's rotating. So I'm gonna pause here to go to this next this map here. So here's his map. You can see where first zone is, and I'm kind of gonna go here. I emulated his first zone in blue, so that's the outer blue. It goes kind of from Loot Lake to Paradise, or Loot Lake, Lonely Lodge, Hamlet, Paradise, where kind of Salty Springs and Fatal Fields are near the center of the circle. And what Tfue does here is he goes from the hotel and he loots his way up, gets all of this brick from the rocks and fills up on any of those cactuses and stops at the gas station kind of by racetrack. And what I'm assuming that he's doing here is he wants to go get metal and be near the geyser just outside of racetrack for easier mobility. So it's a really strong spot for him to just go get metal because there's so many vehicles for him to farm, as well as this is not often a first place for someone to drop. Normally it's like a tertiary place where somebody will go and get kind of some like scavenger loot after they've looted the full main racetrack. And so he's going there. He's hoping that there's more loot. Maybe he can find mobility, get filled up on metal, and then post up near this this geyser. So yeah, farming up the desert rocks, checking for enemies, scoping out what's going on. So yeah, on top of the racetrack here, you see he sees a launch pad. Since he was worried about finding movement and that was his main priority, him going and getting that launch pad is exactly what he's trying to accomplish. He needed to get movement. You'll see that there was movement immediately on the top. He beelined towards it. He sees an enemy in the air, fires at them, tries to get them to back off, and then immediately starts farming the rest of his mats up. And you'll see that he goes straight for the brick and metal from the cars. And then as he just got here, the next zone actually had just come up. And on his minimap, he sees a care package. So he sees an enemy on the hill, takes this geyser, tries to go check out, see if he can get the care package. Switches his builds to wood, so he doesn't have to use metal if he gets fought while rotating. Sees somebody, just barely misses the snipe on him. Disengages from him. It's not worth him to fight this enemy. Tries to find picks on people rotating. And then heads back towards the geyser for some movement. And I'll give you kind of a picture of what this next zone looks like. I drew it out. I saw him use his map. So what had happened was he was at gas station. He geysered up onto the hill here to see if he could get the care package. Goes back to the geyser and then immediately wants to look for center zone. And basically, the closer you are to the center of the zone, for the most part, you're going to be closer to the next one on average, especially on the bigger zones. So you want to prioritize being closer to center zone. Tfue opts to go near this oasis area where there's another geyser so that he can have another added mobility going from zone 2 to zone 3. And basically, he's just going to geyser hop to another geyser to set himself up within zone 2, which is this purple one. And you'll see these this line that I have. He rotates this way, hits the geyser, goes up on the hill, is going to geyser over to this oasis area right here. He notices an enemy being pretty aggressive, but his edit is facing the other way, so he just goes straight onto the geyser, does a little bit of scouting. And something to notice is that since Tfue already had Paradise to himself and he essentially cleared it out, and Zone is pulling to the southeast corner of the map, and that's where he started, you're going to assume that more players are going to be on kind of that northwest corner. So if he can position himself farther away from where most of the players are rotating from, then he can have less engagements with players until kind of more of the end game. What you're seeing here is he's scouting where potential enemies are and where they can shoot him from. And he's actually blocking off potential line of sights from people who have high ground on him. So I'm going to go back. He sees the guy who has high ground there. So somebody over here has high ground on him. He puts a ramp to block him off so he can peek some people in the open. Then he also sees somebody over here. And so he's going to use 2 cones to protect him from these areas of getting peeked. So he uses that to essentially protect his back as an extra cover, which is a really heads up play. Sees someone rotating, tries to get the heavy snipe, looks for other people rotating. And the thing is, his current spot is overlooking one of the most open zones that you can look at. So what he's currently looking at is people who are at a disadvantageous spot who would be rotating through to their next location and trying to get picks. So maybe that he can catch them off guard, and him being in a powerful location and them being at kind of a bad out in the open rotating spot, he can get a pick.
Fuck, I was so close, man.
Just looking for picks here.
No clue which direction that guy was gonna go.
And this is what I mean. There's a lot of people rotating in the open trying to find their new home, and he's trying to take advantage of them not being settled in.
All I need is to heavy snipe somebody in the body and then push them, stink them, spray them.
So he's already got a plan of action. He wants to heavy snipe someone in the body. He'll push him, throw some stinks at him. Easy kill points. Good to always have a plan of attack and visualize what you want to do. "30 seconds till the storm closes." So you see that next zone comes. He checks the map, marks the center of it, and then immediately rotates. And so this next circle is a really important circle because it's going to be the third zone. And the reason why he marked the very center of the third zone is that the fourth zone is always going to be within the third zone. So if the center, so if you mark the center of the third zone and you get to that spot, you will be guaranteed to be within the fourth zone. And that's what you're seeing Tfue do here. And I marked this on my little map here. So third zone is this lime green one. You'll see that Tfue's gonna geyser bounce, and he's gonna go to the center of the third zone, which is somewhere kind of in this region. He actually marks right here, but he ends up on the mountainside where that green X with the circle around it is, because somebody will end up being posted up there. And he rotates immediately. He doesn't want to play around. He wants to get settled in. You want to be in the middle of the third zone first, because then nobody else will be able to be there and won't be able to pressure you as easily. So he wants to head up.
Really?
He sees someone takes his spot.
Why? He's already up there. I'm fucking pissed.
And then he just kind of posts up.
Are gonna be neighbors. I could just take height from him. Nah, he looks scared.
So he said he could take height from him, but he said no, the guy looks scared. So if somebody in game doesn't want to fight you, don't take the fight. It's advantageous for you. Neither of you are gonna come out ahead in this sort of scenario. 50 players left. So he opts to not try to fight this guy, save mats. He gets a pick. Immediately wants to look at the loot.
A rift along. I have to go.
Sees a launch pad and a rift. Wants to head down there to go confirm the loot from the kill he just got. Because movement's going to be key, especially in a mountainous area like this. Somebody tries to be a loot goblin. Nobody likes a loot goblin. Gets heavy sniped. So Tfue knows he's going to pick up some stuff, just throwing stinks to utilize them. Gets a couple little stinks off, grabs the rift to go, because that's the most valuable item. Then posts up at the bottom of this valley here. There's tons of mats. 2 people died. There's probably like 2,000 mats, so he can build horizontally as much as he wants.
Take redeploy.
He's already planning his next move. He wants to rift out because he's in the valley there. He's like natural low ground. Grabs the redeploy, so he'll still have movement. He finds someone next to him, wants to pressure him. Trade a couple of little blows. His enemy is getting pressured because he's in wood. They try and kind of tag team him. You know, the guy riffs out. Tfue got 3 white hit markers with the SMG on him. He knows he's weak, looking to confirm the kill.
That guy's dead. Fuck, man, I was so close. One more bullet and I would kill that guy.
So since he has so much loot, he just tops off with the big pot, grabs his 6 minis back. He sees that he's within the next zone, so he doesn't have to worry.
Got that launch pad.
And now he can, now he's bringing all the loot up above, just in case somebody tries to sneak under him. He doesn't want him to see the blue pumps, the ARs, anything. So he brings the loot up above.
300 metal still.
He starts taking inventory of how much extra mats he has from the other players that died around him. He saw that there's 300 metal. trying to get some information of who's around him.
I don't know what that fool's doing, but he's sketching me out.
So he starts compiling up all the mats in a central location,
I'm gonna
drops
predict the
his
zone to go
500
opposite
mats.
direction that I am at.
So what happened there is Tfue saw the stack of metal that was there, and then he dropped the 500 materials out of his inventory, grabbed whatever extra metal there was currently, and then starts branching out. And why he did this is if he uses the stack that was already on the ground and then branches out completely with it, he'll come back and still be at 500 metal and know that he utilized all of the extra metal that he possibly could while branching out. So real heads up play here.
You're a pussy. So 300 brick, a bunch of metal. What's down here? More minis.
So he knows there's somebody above him. He wants to give him a little pressure to know that, you know, hey neighbor, I'm here. So the guy doesn't think he's oblivious and try to pull some move on him. So immediately he hears somebody on him and he becomes aggressive towards that person so that they know that they can't just land next to him without him trying to pressure them back.
10, there it is. Woo! Could build this in, but I don't know if it's worth it.
He sees the zone here. He sees that he already has his tunnel almost in the right direction, and he could build them in, but he thinks he wants to rift because it might not be worth it. As he starts tunneling in here, he's testing the waters.
Not the vibe, brother.
So he sees somebody's
spraying me.
Somebody's holding him in zone.
Fucking in the zone either, dumbass.
And he says, "All right, I'm not gonna
fucking play aggressive."
Yeah, I'm not gonna tunnel. I'm gonna rift.
Drop my heavy sniper.
Switch my load out. I'm planning on taking high ground, so I want the AR
pads, but I want this
and the glider redeploy. He surveys one last time as the zone starts moving.
Holy fuck, my bloom is ass. Fucking kill him, bro. The fuck is that?
And then gets ready to rift. Waits till the last second of edge to rift.
The fuck is that, dude?
And then starts looking for height. Sees heights right here on the mountain. Pretty uncontested. Nobody's looking up shooting at him. He says, "My height now." And
my balloon is so shit.
Now he gets his Kovacs on. Native res, people can't really look up very easily.
Fucking die.
Without being pretty vulnerable.
Fuck, man. Give me zone once. Thank you, dude. Fuck. One fucking time.
So now he's just kind of surveying, seeing if anybody's open.
What do you want to do? Tap the dude? No, it probably seems like that would be better with how bad my fucking bloom is right now.
Somebody tries to take height with a baller with apparently 50 HP.
Yeah, you're fucking stupid.
Yeah, we don't know what this guy's doing.
So fucking
He thought he had free height, I guess. Turns out that he didn't have glider redeploy and got sent back to the lobby. Tfue just dealing damage on damage. You know? See someone challenging for height. Falls off the edge. Glider redeploys away.
Bro, I'm so fucking high. If you land on me, you're an absolute idiot.
Just trying to secure height, looking for people that are rifting above him, launch padding above him, making sure that they can't take height from him. And this is why he grabbed glider redeploy, so he could have psycho height and just be uncontested. Because it's just him up here now. He was on the edge of the mountain.
Dude, just bloom hit, bro.
He sees second height. He starts dropping down, reconnects back up. So now it's a bridge across, so it's way harder to shoot down. And just milking height for as much as he can.
Thank you for dying.
At 400 mats, has the glider redeploy, so he isn't worried about losing builds here. He just keeps branching out, tarping out. Drops down to secondary height. Retakes. Having a little build battle with 100 mats.
You're wasting mats for the both of us, bro, for no reason. You know that, right?
He has 3 builds left. And he's just milking it for all it's worth. 12 players left. He just knows the advantage of being high ground. Being able to look down. And he says, got no builds. Using my glider redeploy, coming down.
Okay.
Dropping all the way down to low ground. Getting the big pump. Back at 90 mats. Boxes up. Reloads. And then just using this game sense and awareness to get more kills, a little more mats, and just does what Tfue does. Just putting on a clinic of an endgame slay session from low ground. Back up to 70 builds. Drops back down to low ground because he's getting pressure from mid. Finds a safe place to mini. Is peeking for people rotating. And there's still the one guy height. Right now he knows that he has the 5th place point, so now all he can get are kills and wins. So he's looking to get as many points as possible. As many picks, and still trying to keep the win as a potential. He sees his chance to retake high ground, and now he is doing the equivalent of a Tfue special, but with the SMG and shotgun. Really comfortable, knows that he's height, only a couple builds over ground limit, has 10 builds left. 1v1v1. Checks inventory for a campfire if he needs to get a heal off situation. Knows that the guy's outside his zone. Catches somebody that's rotating far out and then gets the last kill.
That's something so I don't get fucked over the whole game.
And you heard it from him. That's what happens when you don't get fucked over. And I would say where he landed and where the game ended, he ended up doing pretty good, right? So he landed in paradise and then just kind of rotated out to this gas station for a little bit, came back in, and then stayed within probably like a 3x3 block radius the whole time. He was pretty much edge of the map in comparison to all other POIs. And it just shows you when things line up for a world-class player that they're really good at utilizing those sorts of advantages. He didn't have to move as much. He got movement. He had good mats, good aim. Everything just came together. And I mean, that's an amazing game that led him to be one of the people who got 69 points and one of the qualifiers for the World Cup. So if I could break down some of the things that Tfue did that I noticed throughout his games, and especially in this one, is making sure he knows where all of his current threats are and seeing if they're going to be aggressive or not, making sure that he's as safe as he can be before rotating. Another thing is always keeping his mats up and always planning for the worst case scenario. I think that he's a realistic pessimist, I guess, where he knows that things can go wrong in this game, so he tries to plan for the things that can go wrong, like tunneling out, making sure he plans ahead of time, knowing that you can't always get mobility, so going next to natural spawning mobility like the geysers. And then another thing that he did really well was keeping high ground and milking high ground for every single thing that it's worth, and making sure that anyone who was contesting him for it couldn't take it from him, even if it meant all of his mats. He was protecting high ground for everything that he could. And then, having glider redeploy, always having the next plan. So he can heavy snipe, push the guy with stink bombs. He's planning ahead where he's going to rift and grab the glider redeploy, go for height. And then when he's going for height, he's going to plan that if he runs out of builds, he's just going to glider redeploy down and try to play everything to the best that he can. Sure, he might have made a few mistakes here or there, but it ended up being really good. 12 kill win is highly respectable and really good showing of what a world-class competitor Tfue is.